And today we are joined by Helen Wilson, who has not only had one transplant, but she has had two. So how are you, Helen? You good?
I am, really good. Thank you. Very well.
Helen, we'll talk firstly about pre-transplant because yours came a little bit later on. So how active were you as a child? Was it always something, did you always enjoy sport?
I was lucky. We had horses for quite a few years, so I did a lot of horse riding, but I never did athletics and I never did archery, which are the events that I am now doing as a result of all of this. So yeah, active with the horses, but that was it really.
Yeah, it's always a case really, and it's great that when you come into later in life and you start getting into sport, it's brilliant. So moving forward, did you, before your transplant, did you have any idea that you would have to have one? Was there any sort of underlying health stuff going on?
Nothing whatsoever until 2000, and a routine urine test showed that there was blood in my urine, so I was sent for a scan, and that showed a lot of cysts in my kidneys. So that was when I was diagnosed with polycystic kidney disease, and that was the start of the journey.
Yeah. So talk me through that really. How, because we had the one that has last gone out recently, Neville, who had underlying health conditions, and he said it would almost be worse for someone who sort of came out of the blue. So how did that affect you mentally in that respect?
Okay, so to start with, because I wasn't in pain and there was nothing really going, you wouldn't know that I had this problem. So until December 2000, well, probably until 2005, I was actually pretty okay. I was going through my checkups and that was about it, and sort of normal activity. Then in 2005, where the cysts in my kidneys were growing, I started growing with them because they were, I suppose, pushing my stomach out. I had a lot more fluid in my body. And then it was in December 2005 that I was told by the consultant I saw that I'd need to think of somebody to ask for a kidney. And I was not expecting that. It was totally out of the blue. I remember thinking, well, it's nearly Christmas. I'll just put it on my Christmas list. Everything will be fine. And I think I was just at the point of losing it because it was just something that I hadn't been expecting, and it was a real shock.
Moving forward, so your brother actually gave you your kidney, didn't he? So
he did.
To have it coming from a family member, do you think that was better or worse?
I think better. He just rang me up one day out of the blue and said that this was something that he wanted to do, and he'd spoken to his wife and his kids and he'd got it all sorted out, and I was just like absolutely amazed. We've always been pretty close, but that was definitely going above and beyond. But because he went through his tests, I went through my tests, so it was very sort of planned and organised. We met with the surgeon and we were given a date for the transplant, so it was all very nicely controlled.
Yeah, it must have been better to like organise and stuff like that. Yeah. But then moving forward, obviously you got your kidney from your brother. Everything was looking up, but then something else happened, didn't it? Unfortunately. Yeah. So talk us through that.
Okay, so literally the day after I got Sydney, my life went back to normal. He kicked in and started working immediately, and things were brilliant. I got out of hospital in about 10 days, went home, and yeah, everything was back to normal. Then a couple of years later, we realised that something else was wrong, and we found out that I also had a polycystic liver, and once again became very ill. It was a bit like, here we go again. Again, my body filled with fluid, my liver was getting massive. I could hardly dress myself, I couldn't lie down because I couldn't breathe. I couldn't get in and out of a car very easily. I certainly couldn't do the shopping or anything like that. And it was much more existing rather than living. So I was referred to King's, and I met Professor Heaton there. And thankfully he said that he would put me on the list for transplant, which was just absolutely what we needed to hear. Then I was having some tests with them, and they were a bit concerned about my heart and whether I would actually be able to stand the operation or not. So I was taken off the list, and the feeling of utter devastation, and like, that's it, it's just going to be like this forever now. Devastating, I think, is probably the word. And I was lucky enough that we had a couple more tests, and everything was actually looking pretty good. So I was put back on the list, and it was that feeling of hope again, that, okay, something really can be done, it will be okay. That was in the August. And then in the November, we got a call from King's, and I went in. Unfortunately, the transplant couldn't go ahead, but we had been warned that that might be the case. So we'd agreed that until it actually happened, nobody was going to get sort of too excited about the whole thing. So I came back home again, back to living on the sofa. And then we got another call in December, and I went back into King's, and the transplant went ahead. And my new liver is called Lionel. So there's me, Sydney, and Lionel now. And whenever I meet anybody, they always ask how all three of us are. So and thankfully everything is going really well.
That's brilliant. So this is TotalSport, and we love to talk about sport. So when did you first hear about the Transplant Games, and how long did it take you to get into it?
Okay, so when I was in Toddward in King's, two people, Donna and Simon, were doing the rounds, and they came and chatted to me, and they told me about the games. And at that point, I couldn't even sit myself up in bed. I couldn't walk. All my muscle had gone. I was really weak. So it was a bit of a, why are you telling me about this? Because there's absolutely no way on this planet that I'm going to be able to do that. But it obviously stuck. And in 2014, I went up to Bolton just to watch the games, to see what it was all about. And just from the minute I got there, I knew it was something that I needed to be involved in. I met two sisters from the Bristol team on the train going up to Bolton, so they told me a lot about the games as well. And just chatting generally, two people there, they said that 10-pin bowling and archery, you can literally just turn up and they'll show you on the day what to do. So I thought, okay, Newcastle 2015, here I come. And then I thought, well, I can't go all that way and just do two events. So for some unknown reason, I entered the 100 and the 200 meters. And I'd never run on the track before. I didn't even know how far that was. So about 12 weeks before the game, so about May 2015, I went down to Bracknell Athletics Club. And I was talking to one of the guys down there, and I said, so 100 meters, where do you start and finish? And the 200, all this stuff. So they very kindly put me in touch with one of the coaches down there, Ken Spencer. And I said, I've got a race in 12 weeks. I've never run before. Can you help me? And he did. And so he helped me leading up to those games. So I managed to do both my races, and was still okay at the end of it, which was quite nice. And that sort of set the challenge for me. My archery I really enjoyed as well. So after those games, I started training regularly at Bracknell Athletics Club. I joined Crowthorne Archers. I'm a member of Aldershot Athletics Club, and we do some open competitions with them now. And these are all events that I had never done in my life before. And it sort of grew from that. So not content with the ones that I was doing, I added to my list long jump, discus, shot put and javelin. So, and again, I hadn't done any of those before, but I'm loving it now and doing them sort of as often as I can, loving the training, and met some really amazing people who have helped me improve. And I'm not finished yet. I know that there's still more in there somewhere. So the plan is to run faster, throw further, see where we go.
Absolutely, and that's a really, really great attitude to have. So moving on. So you mentioned that the people that you met. How big of an impact has the transplant sport community had on you?
It's absolutely phenomenal. I've met so many amazing people, and that's donor recipients, it's live donors, and also members from the donor family network. And we now have some really good friends whose family members have been donors, and they're just amazing people. People that I train with, my coaches, I've got a physio person who helps me now, meeting the organisers of the games, and Graham Moore and the guys at Westfield Health, who are the sort of main sponsor. If they weren't there, the games wouldn't be happening. So, they're a really important part of this as well. So it's like having a whole new family.
Absolutely, and that's what everyone has said, and that shows that it's a universal effect in that respect. But yeah, so moving on, next year in Leeds, how much are you looking forward to that and meeting up with everyone again?
It's going to be absolutely incredible. The fact that we haven't been able to meet up this year will make it even more special next year. One thing that Facebook is really good for, a load of us now, we keep in touch on Facebook, so at least we can see what we're up to in between times and keep in touch. But it's going to be incredible when we do all get to meet up again. It will be very emotional, I have no doubt.
Absolutely. And the question that we ask at the end of every single Transplants video, can you describe Transplant Sport and its impact on you in 3 words for me?
I'm glad I watched the other interviews, actually, because I've seen you ask this question, so I thought, I need to give it some serious thought. So I do have my 3 words. The first one is inspiration, and that is from the people that I've met listening to their stories. My second word is opportunity, and that is, it's the opportunity that I've had to do all these things that I've never done before. And I was trying to think what my third word would be, and I came up with fun, because it's so enjoyable.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that pretty much perfectly describes it in all of its mannerism. So thank you very much, Helen, for joining us on Transplants. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Everyone, make sure when you're looking in the description to click the subscribe button, and there is a link to NHS organ donation. So if you want to find out more, please go and do so. It's a very, very important thing. And thank you very much for watching, everyone, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you very much.